Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, classic / non-classic. This is the 300th episode, and Doubleshot number 231. Yeah, 300 episodes. And who would think that I started this thing nearly 3 years ago, and I'm already at 300 episodes. Good for me. Now, early on, some of you, if you watched some of my very early episodes, you probably noticed sometimes me growling or yelling at the camera. Some people thought it was funny I was doing that. There was a reason for that. YouTube at that point had it was a feature where you could record your videos on the actual site and then upload them. I did that for a while, actually. I did that for a good chunk of the series. I would say the first episode. Now, I did that first. Let's see, look at the actual number here. It was prior to 200 I actually started doing that. Yes, the first episode I did this for, where I did it for my first 194 episodes. I recorded via, webcam upload. That's how I recorded my videos. Starting with episode 195, that's when I started to do it on Movie Maker, which does work out a little bit better, and this one doesn't crash. The crashing thing was the reason why I was yelling. There were some episodes that didn't happen, and you probably might have noticed some of those episodes I might have been repeating myself. The reason why that was, and why I was frustrated with it at times, was because the YouTube capture kept crashing on me, and this happened a lot. Despite I was able to put out episodes on about 2 or 3 videos a day at times. I mean, the reason now no one has ever asked me this, but why do I release so many videos in the same day? Some of them are the same series. The reason why is because I've got plenty of time in my hands, and I figured, though, why not just record these episodes? Okay? Now, I know I haven't got the review, but I figured, why not look back on these previous episodes before I get to the actual reviews. Now, this is my first and so far longest running series that I've actually had on my YouTube channel. I've also had other videos. There was originally this thing was doing both trades and single issues that I owned, but I decided to drop the single issue thing simply because, well, it'd be kind of bizarre to do that for something called Comic Book Corner. So I decided to move those to its own spin-off series, which I haven't done a video for in probably over a year, maybe 2 at most. And that was the Comic Book Corner Classics. That one's reserved for old issues, older comic books. That's what that series was reserved for. Some of you probably also noticed from my playlist, I haven't developed a playlist for that particular series yet. I've got plenty of time on my hands, I could probably do it. And some might also notice that there are 2 lists for this particular series. There is kind of a reason for that. And some of you might ask, why isn't an episode missing? I might have accidentally deleted it at some point. I'm not sure what happened to it. Yeah, it's something between episodes 80 to 90. There's one of those episodes that are missing. I have honestly no idea what happened to that video. Yeah, I have honestly no idea what happened to it. So, in case any of you ask, I just don't know. It just says, I might have deleted it at some point. I don't know, but that's simply the way it is when it comes to making these videos. However, some of my other shows include like stuff. There were some others, like originally the movies were originally called DVD reviews. Yes, originally called that. What inspired me to do this particular series, this particular one, Comic Book Corner Classics / Non-Classics, Chris Ventura's Comic Book Corner. That's what inspired me to sort of do this particular type of series, because in that series he reviewed trades. So I decided to do the same thing on my channel, since I watched all of his episodes, and quite frankly, I have produced more episodes of this series than he did of that one. one of the reasons why he hasn't produced, that I can think of, why he doesn't produce that many episodes of that series is for a couple reasons. One, he probably doesn't have enough time to do it. Two, he has other reviews that he wants to do, so that's probably the reason why he hasn't gotten their episode yet. And three, he wants to do his next episode on one of the TMNT Ultimate Collections. Now, I've read the first 2 books of that series. The series itself is really good. But I will probably eventually review that series at some point on here. I just haven't got my hands on any Teenage Heroes books. The only thing that's non-DC or Marvel related that I have actually reviewed on here is G.I. Joe from IDW. Now, will I plan to do anything else that's not published by that? I don't know. I have not decided yet on that. Some probably have noticed I've also started up some new series in the past year or two. Well, aside from this series and the Comic Corner Classics and novel reviews and the DVD reviews, which has now been retitled to movie reviews, I changed the title simply because, well, for one thing, I originally started this so I can do reviews of the Friday the 13th movies since I had already concluded my reviews of that series. I figured, though, since I was reviewing other things aside from DVDs, like Blu-rays, like I did with the Evil Dead series, I decided to change the name of the series from DVD reviews to movie reviews. And I also use the series as sort of like vlogs. I've only done it a few times with the series, but whenever I do a vlog, I always put the word spoilers on it because I spoil an actual recently released movie that was released in theaters. That's really the whole point of it. Why is sometimes my name in the titles easy to search for? That's really the reason why. There are some basically don't have my name in the title, like when I do my classic shows, like every classic issues of Kenny X-Men, the New Teen Titans, stuff like that. I don't have to necessarily do that for those particular ones, simply because, yeah, they're part of my show, they're part of my YouTube channel, but I don't necessarily need to put my name on them. I kept using the name for this show because I've done it since episode 1, so that's mainly the reason why I kept it there. All the rest of the shows that actually have my name on it, when this YouTube channel, now I started this YouTube channel pretty much when YouTube first kind of started about 7 years ago, but I didn't start posting till about 3 years ago. In 2 months, next month marks my 3-year anniversary of posting videos. I will probably do sort of like something special for that. I haven't decided yet. I have plenty of time to think about it. But I have always enjoyed doing these videos. I really do. And since me in the past few years of doing these videos, I have met several people on YouTube and become good friends, and I've even talked to them via Skype. People like Edgar, Comic Book Fan 1992, Tevya Smuka. I talked a little bit to Dr. Lemonade, and some people I've talked to via commenting on their videos, like Gamma 896, Chris Ventura, his brother Mike, Mike Spireslayer from Comic Frontline. Some of these people I've actually become Facebook friends with, or simply I talked to them via Skype. But I have met a lot of people in these past few years of basically talking to them. One of whom basically has stopped talking to me 3 years ago simply because I was had sort of a minor addiction to Google+, which I have since been not using very much. And some of you probably noticed that some live shows I would probably have been on with my friends, but I can't because something wrong with the Wi-Fi here. And half the time that the Google Plus doesn't work on my computer, it keeps crashing, or I keep freezing, or I get like no sound. That's the reason why in the past several months you have not seen me on the Google Plus show. And plus, Google Plus, despite the fact it's promoted to be this grand thing, it's got plenty of bugs, which Google still to this very day have not fixed. But otherwise, though, I have enjoyed making these videos and meeting all the friends I have. I've done one crossover video so far with one of them, Edgar, Comic Fan 1072, when I did a joint review with him of Iron Man 55. That's the only one I've actually done where it's not a Google Plus thing. I keep thinking, though, maybe sometime in the near future I might do more of those, but none have come up yet. I did enjoy doing that one, but one of the reasons why I requested to do that one with him because that's the first appearance of that was the first appearance of the Mad Titan Thanos, and since I'm more familiar with the character than kind of he is, and how much of a sort of a some people have called me a walking Wikipedia, people who I don't speak to on YouTube, because I know a bunch of stuff. Like I know about writers, artists, certain characters and their history because I've done a lot of research on them because I got plenty of time on my hand. That's mainly the reason why. Take a sip of my tea. No worry, this is not hot tea. This is ice. This is ice cold tea. But I'm only talking about this now because it's my 300th episode before I get to my actual review. Sort of looking back at what I've done the past few years, basically doing this show. And I know yesterday I did record 3 videos in a row. The highest I've done in a row is 5, and it's exhausting to do. I was basically ready to pass out because I wanted to get back to other things I was doing. But yeah, and why do I know so much about some of the more recent stuff? Simply because I read the books online for free. That's simply what I do. Right now, the only comic book right now I'm reading online for free is, in fact, an old series known as Power of the Atom. I'm on issue number 13 of that series. I'm almost done with it. Soon I'll be moving on to Wonder Woman. I read older series because I got nothing really much else to do, and I really enjoy reading older books. I'm not going to give the particular site. You can ask me privately about what the site is because, well, I know that some of these companies still want to make money by selling these comic books, but these are older comic books, and I do want comic books to sell properly and last for a good period of time. And I have my own opinions about certain things, like Marvel should stop relaunching their books, DC retconning stuff that should not be retconned. Though DC has gotten their act together in the past couple months with the DC Rebirth stuff, which I have been enjoying. I read everything that's been released for DC Rebirth so far. I read the Hanna-Barbera stuff. I would say, for the Hanna-Barbera stuff, most people can agree that the best books are basically Future Crest and Flintstones. Those two are the best books. I would say number 2 is probably Scooby Apocalypse, and probably the bottom of the pile for that is probably Wacky Raceland, simply because I'm not familiar with a lot of the characters. And if you read the series, it's a Mad Max ripoff. That's simply what it is. But as for the Marvel stuff, I do read that stuff. Some of these books I do in fact buy on a sort of a regular basis when I get a chance to. Series like Howard the Duck. I've been meaning to buy more Punisher, the more recent Punisher stuff. Power Man Iron Fist. I do buy some of the more DC books. The only DC books I currently buy are Detective, Batman, Nightwing, and Green Arrow. Those are the ones I currently buy right now. I also buy Scarlet Witch, which I'm enjoying this series, and I'm not happy that it's probably going to be discontinued soon. But I've been enjoying that series for what it is, and I have been doing reviews of that. But I'm sure some of you are probably thinking, though, when am I going to get to the actual review, since I'm about almost 15 minutes in. But I just really wanted to, and I want to thank everybody who's been subscribed to me for the past few years. Basically, I've got about 50 subscribers so far. My goal eventually, my first major goal was to get to 50. I'm almost there, but my next major goal is to get to 100 subscribers. I haven't got there yet. There are people I have been subscribed to where they've got 100,000 subscribers. Heck, there's one I'm subscribed to where he's got over 1 million subscribers so far. But eventually one day I will get to 100. Maybe to 1 million. I don't know. It just highly depends on exactly when that happens. But let's get to the review of what books I decided to review for this 300th episode. Now, normally at stuff like this, I might do a triple shot, but I decided to do a double shot because I got a couple more books I could be doing another episode. So, first up is Animal Man, Volume 3, Deus Ex Machina. This is the last trade that collects issues of Grant Morrison's run for this book. Now, this book contains issues 18 to 26. Yeah, that's a lot of issues. That's pretty much about, this is like 9 issues. That's the same amount that was put into Volume 1. Now, I'm not sure who takes, let me take a look here, on who takes over the book after Morrison leaves the book. When it does come up, of course. Yeah. Though, I have it in this series. I have read the Jet Lemire volume. It is really good. And that run lasted for 29 issues, while this lasted for 26. Now, my guess is the reason why Grant Morrison left the 26 issues because he had other books he wanted to work on. Books like The Invisibles, or maybe The Doom Patrol. Well, actually, he came up with the book after he finished up writing. Well, actually, he was still writing at that point. I think he was. I don't know. I have recently read his Doom Patrol run. It's actually pretty good, but it's a bit overrated. And it kind of ticks me off that his predecessor on that book, Paul Kupperberg, does not have his run collected, but yet Grant Morrison's run is entirely collected. Now, originally Grant Morrison's run was collected in 6 books. DC has since re-released those run and put it into 3 books. 2 books have been released so far for that run. If I get this thing to properly work. For some reason, it's taking a while to bring this up, but now, some of you might ask, how long did this volume of Animal Man last for? This one lasted for 89 issues and had 1 annual published. It had a few different writers. Some of the writers of the series also wrote Swamp Thing, which Grant Morrison himself did have a brief run on the book. Yeah, that's one thing quite unique about this title and Swamp Thing. Some of the writers from Swamp Thing also wrote this very series, though this one had not as many writers as Swamp Thing Volume 2 did, but it did last for a good period of time. And just by sheer coincidence that Grant left the book, that's when the book released for print. Now, since the book is Vertigo in print, the whole volume was released under that. Not necessarily, no. It was kind of the same thing that other books do. This is like kind of for mature readers. DC did this from the research I've done. They did this with a few books where after Crisis on Infinite Earths, they actually put these things kind of like on a predecessor to the Vertigo imprint, which was launched, I think, in 1983, I believe it was, which is still publishing to this very day, unlike the Max imprint from Marvel. Not a book published in the years. I think the last book published in the imprint was, in fact, a book called Wolverine Max. I think it was either Wolverine Max or Fury Max. Now, I have read that Dan himself criticized Max imprint because of how they wrote Nick Fury. But that's a different version of him. It's not the one he did back. Here we go. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on my computer. There we go. Yeah, it's if it can actually work properly. Come on. The annual was released as part of a crossover known as Choose Great, which was entirely done by News. I haven't read it. It's actually really good. Here we go. Now I'm getting to it. Now, do I think, though, that the Animan series will be adapted, at least brought to TV? The character might be, but I don't know if the series will. I keep thinking, though, because, well, the Constantine show takes place in the same continuity. Yeah, but Animan, I don't know if this series will be adapted. I wanted it to be adapted, but the only thing that in the DC this is game Man, he refers to animals were actually fighting supervillains. Heck, even in during one of whom he took on Darkseid. Yep. Now in this book, now he does team up with the Mirror Master in here, which the Mirror Master made his debut at the start of this, pretty much during the first year of this run. But the book itself has something sort of unexpected happen. Well, Animan went away with this Native American character who, was, by the way, has red skin, very stereotypical. I'm not sure why the artist did that for. But apparently, while he was away, his wife and kids were murdered. Something Grant Morrison came up with, I don't know why. But yeah. But he decided to go back in time. He teamed up with the Time Master. He teamed up with Rip Hunter to go back in time to try to sort of change the circumstances of their death. Okay, this new goal after Grant was Milligan. Okay, that's his name, Peter Milligan. That was the guy who was the original writer for the series Justice League Dark. Now, one thing I thought was really neat Grant Morrison did because like most writers, they're longtime comic book fans. In issue 25 of the series, he decided to bring back some very obscure characters during his run, during like his last couple issues of his run. He brought back the Inferior Five. Yeah, they're a group of characters that first showed up back in the 60s in the pages of Showcase, who later had their own brief series, and they've showed up now and again over the years. I think the most recent appearance they made was in the final issue of Brave and the Bold. Yeah. You also had, let's see, you have, let's see. This is supposed to be Gem, the son of Saturn. Yeah. We also have a few other characters like the Red Bee, some of whom I've never heard of these characters before. Some I've seen before, some of them, like, I have never seen before. This area here that Buddy Baker's going, this is known as the Land of Obscurity. Oh, and he runs into Mr. Freeze of Earth 1. This is before his Heart of Ice reboot. But, yeah, it's kind of nice to see the Earth 1. Heck, they even have, let's see. They don't give some of these characters names, but probably one of the oddest things to ever happen in here is that Animan meets his writer, Grant Morrison. I'm like, really, Morrison? You brought yourself into the series? Also, in between panels, apparently he had him change skin color to where now he's chalk white. Yeah, that's for his last issue. This is one of 2 times he's actually appeared in a DC comic book. The only other time I can think of was in issue 58 of Suicide Squad, where he appeared credited as the writer. He wasn't writing the book. He was simply a guy who basically had a typewriter strapped to his chest. Not like a bomb, basically like, oh, let's just feel like him like have like a baby, just have a typewriter, have him sort of edit stuff to have him write him. Yeah. But I should also bring up the suggested mature imprint thing. That was something the DC did Anime was not the only series they did this for. They did it for Green Arrow. They did it for The Question. And despite under imprint, the books were still good. But here's the thing. Of the three, this book ended after 89 issues. The Question ended after 36 issues. And Green Arrow, that volume 2, lasted 137 issues. Yeah, there was a few books. Even something was published under that imprint. That's what the suggested for mature readers thing was. Basically, the books became more violent. Basically, it's the pre-Vertigo days. But of these three books, The Question was never published under the Vertigo imprint at all. Not even the trades. From the trades I've seen online, do not have it where they're published under the Vertigo imprint. But excuse me. This series does, and now some of you might be wondering, okay, he teams up with the Mirror Master for a couple issues in here, but some might ask, which one? Because there are two of them. The original was killed off during Crisis for Nerves. This guy here, who looks like the original one, this is actually Sam Spunding, I think his name is. Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce the guy's name. But he's the second Mirror Master, and when he started out as a recurring character in the pages of Animal Man. Already popped up in a few books here and there, and then finally the Flash. It took him over 100 issues into that particular book for him to finally make a physical appearance inside that very book. As a matter of fact, the issue where he first fights the Flash, the cover is a homage to the very first issue that ever came out for the Flash back in the 60s. The cover is a homage to issue 105, which is what Flash Volume 1 started off with. And that was also the first issue where the second Mirror Master fought the Flash. So he started out as an Animal Man villain, and basically was also a Flash villain because, well, probably was necessary for him to do. Also, Johns wrote him where he was a drug addict. Yep, he snorted cocaine. I'm not kidding. And what happened to him for doing it? He got his butt beat by Captain Cold for it. Yep, he got beat up by Captain Cold because he was a drug addict. But there's even a brief period of time where he looks like he's wearing the costume that he would, the color scheme he would wear for the New 52. Also, I should bring this up too. But there is a brief appearance in here for a few issues by a character known as the Psycho Pirate, who I brought up in my review of the series of the Crisis Multiverse team-ups. This is his. He been a poppy up in the book now and again. Also, the issues in here also explain why he'd been showing up previously as sort of an illusion, where he didn't talk to anybody. Yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna show you a good picture of his second costume he wears in here very briefly before. Here it is. This is Animal Man's second costume. Now, somebody thinking, say, isn't that the costume he wore for the Lemire run and basically was wearing up until recently? Yeah, it kind of does. It looks like the same costume, but there's some slight alterations to this costume. Even this costume is different, but it's the same color scheme as the anime costume, the costume he would wear. The only difference is he doesn't wear goggles with that costume. Yeah, that's the only difference. But he does fight a Golden Age supervillain. He fights the Psycho Pirate. Yep, this is the second one, not the original one. The original one died. But suffice to say, this was really good. And Grant Morrison, he himself, when he physically showed up, he thanked everybody who worked on him throughout this run. Now, there are some artists on here. Now, the artists on here are two artists. Chaz Tong and Ferris Collins. The cover art was done by Brian Boland. Now, while Grant Morrison is talking, he is thanking all these people while Animan is fighting a couple very obscure villains. Which is like kind of weird that he would do this. Now, I kept thinking though that it was probably one of the other writers, but it was Morrison he met. But that was an interesting idea for Morrison to do, and not many writers have actually explored this, where the character they write actually meets them in story. So because this book is so good, and the artwork is so good in here, I'm giving this book a 9.5 out of 10. This is just pure awesome. Though I didn't like it that Animan's family had to die, but they did come back at the end. Next up is actually the first. This was the first one. Unlike the Animan book, where it's the last trade that collects issues of Grant Morrison's very good run for Animan. Plus, there is another trade. There's an omnibus that collects the entire run, plus a Secret Origins issue. This is 101 Volume 7, War Torn. This is the first trade that collects issues of Meredith Finch's run for the title. First of 3. Now, Meredith Finch is the wife of artist David Finch, who is the artist on this. And David Finch does a good chunk of... He draws a good chunk of this run. I think he only misses a few issues, but he does draw a good chunk of this run. And with this book, you get introduced to Donna Troy. Now, let's see, where is she? No, that's not it. You also have the first appearance of Donna Troy. I'm not going to show her new when she first shows up. I'm going to show her where she wears her actual outfit, what she wears in the series Titans. Okay, here she is. This is Donna Troy in the current continuity. It was the previous book where they had her first appearance. In issue 36, Meredith Finch decided to have Hippolyta die. Well, she returned to a statue since the early arc. So I think Meredith Finch was though like, okay, we have a loose end from that previous run. Let's just get rid of it by having Hippolyta die. I don't know why. No one criticized Finch for doing that, but I do praise her for growing balls to walls for this. And I have spoke to her, and she's done an interview. I've heard an interview that she did where she basically is a huge fan of Greek mythology. And she basically threw a lot of monsters in here. Heck, there's even an appearance by Swamp Thing. And I thought this was quite funny when Swamp Thing showed up in here. He refers to Aquaman as his favorite Justice Leaguer. Oh, that is just so neat. For a character who has basically been ridiculed for the past 40... He's been ridiculed since the 60s. And you have a character like Swamp Thing. A character who was created in the 70s. And he's written by awesome writers the past few years. And to have him say that Aquaman is his favorite Justice Leaguer... I thought that was so funny. Some people are thinking he might say it might be Batman or Wonder Woman, one of the other ones. But no, it's Aquaman. That was really neat. The Meredith Finch to right there. Now, I should also point out that the annual did not come out the same month as issue 40. David Finch himself actually explained that because he didn't finish in time, they had to delay it to June. And that was released just prior to issue 41. Now, at least he admitted that it was his fault that the book was delayed. Because he didn't finish it in time, because it's a long annual. The story itself is in 6 parts. This book collects issues 36 to 40 of Wonder Woman Volume 4, even though the current volume is 5, and its first and only annual this volume ever published. Now, when you read this book, this is actually, the first 2 arcs actually feel like 2 complete arcs, while the last 6 issues feel like a few standalone issues, like 1 or 2 issues apiece. Because, Meredith Finch is trying to sort of, during the initial Brian Azzarello run, that one received heavy criticism and mixed reaction. This one received kind of the same thing, but not as big as the Brian Azzarello run. Brian Azzarello Cliff Chang run. But, I should also point this out. David Finch and Tony Estino have a fetish for giving people tiny noses. Yeah, that nose is tiny. Yeah, I'm not sure if they copy each other's styles, but yeah, I know David Finch is kind of known for repeating faces, but it's not as bad as Greg Land. But his artwork is gorgeous in here. I'm gonna show you another sample of this guy's artwork. This is how he draws Swamp Thing. Yeah, that is Swamp Thing. That looks freaking amazing. But and of course stuff in here does lead into what happens in the next arc of the series of this particular series. But this is so good. I have spoken to Meredith Finch if she ever watched the Wonder Woman series, and she did. She watched the series. I asked her about that. Now, she was also asked if Cassandra Sandmark could make an appearance in the series. She was going to speak to her editor about it, but maybe there wasn't time for her to squeeze her in the series. She did eventually meet Cassandra Sandmark in the Teen Titans series for Greg Pak's only arc he wrote for this most recent series. Currently, the book is written by Tony Bedard, where they did meet and they did confirm that Cassandra Sandmark is Wonder Woman's biological niece. Yeah, they confirmed that. But Donna herself, after the first couple arcs, showed up in issue 50, then she showed up in Titans Hunt. But this is good. Really, really good. 9 out of 10. Great job, Meredith and David Finch. You did a great job with this, basically. For you two doing, like Meredith doing the writing. Writing here's fantastic. The artwork is gorgeous. You guys did a great job. The other person credited on here is now the other artist in here is Gordon Souza, I think his name is. Yes. Sonny Oblick is the colorist for this book, and the colors on this cover look freaking gorgeous. 9 out of 10. All right. That's it for this episode, and this is probably by far my longest video I've ever done. That's not a live show. So, thank you all for watching these episodes. Those of you who have been watching it since episode 1, and those of you who popped on recently, please be sure to thank you. Alright. So, be sure to, if you ever get time to, watch my previous videos. Some of my videos are not very long. Some of them are like 5-10 minutes tops. Because sometimes there's not much to talk about with some of these good books. Some of them are kind of bad, but not all that bad. But whatever doing open requesting, no one's asked me that. And I don't know if I will do an open requesting. I haven't decided that yet. It's my show, it's my channel, I can do whatever I want. But that is it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode, which will be episode 301 and Doubleshot 232. Okay? So then, see you there. Bye.